Okay, YouTube, this is Acid Roots. I've got a Saving Abel review to do, and that is their 2008 debut, Saving Abel. So the thing about this group is they are from Mississippi, and they kind of got started in early 2008. They formed a few years before that, but this is the year that they broke out, and they had a huge first single, but unfortunately this has pretty much become their biggest song. And Addicted was released, and it hit 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. Anytime a rock song hits the Billboard Hot 100, it definitely means it's a huge song. But this album does not have any energy whatsoever to carry the rest of the project. To me, it feels plagued with light pop rock songs and ballads and more sounding like country rock type songs more so than anything else. There really isn't another song like Addicted. They hardly do post grunge, and there's really not, the riffs are just uninteresting on the songs that actually kind of turn things up, like In God's Eyes. And I think there might be like one other song that does it. I really probably New Tattoo was the only other one that had, sharp and engaging riffs, but like I said, they're not engaging, they're just rougher songs. So really what this album is it's just, it has emphasis. You can tell right from the album cover that it has emphasis on women, but the problem with it is that these songs just don't make the cut. I mean, that happens. Addicted, I definitely feel like Addicted is one such song that had what it took. Addicted is such a song that was, this is definitely a song that you want to hear, but that's the only song on this project that does it. 18 Days, the second single, feels more like a country song, something you'd expect out of some guy who's just sitting on the back of his truck in the country. Doesn't really have too much of a purpose. This is really, I mean, you can hardly call it rock. Drowning Face Down is similar to that, except it's a little bit more upbeat, and I mean that really small amount more upbeat. That one is kind of pseudo post grunge, but then it also feels like pop rock, so you get two singles. I guess what they were aiming for was kind of the Nickelback and Daughtry approach, these type folks, but unfortunately I think they should have just stuck to post grunge. It probably would have been simpler. I think artists like Three Doors Down and a couple other ones, Nickelback, Three Doors Down, and Seether are some good examples. And really, it's not so much being a clone as just putting your own take about on it. And I don't want to sound like I'm correcting them, but it becomes obvious quickly that this album didn't really fare that well. So if the singles are not good, if you're getting one song out of three and the rest of the album is uninteresting, it's like, well, what do you want with it? There's really no purpose to anything. I think folks who remember earlier days of the internet, the MySpace type stuff, thing is that might have been a popular song then, but it's kind of questionable if it's worth the revisit. I was curious because I've never heard them before. I thought, three songs that charted fairly well on the rock charts, that this should be interesting. Wikipedia says that this album is post-grunge, but it just falls flat on its face. I mean, you got too many songs. Sailed Away, Beautiful Day, these type songs that just do not have anything resembling post-grunge, and it doesn't resemble hard rock either. That's the other thing. It said it was supposed to be those two, but it feels more like country rock and pop rock more than anything else. So with the obvious aims at the charts, the only thing you're left wondering is, well, what is there to be happy about? And the answer is the soul song Addicted. Now, In God's Eyes is close. That's about as upbeat as it gets. I mean, that kind of had traces of metal, but I don't even know if we could call that metal. So, New Tattoo and God's Eyes and maybe one other song have hard rock sounding songs, but they don't compare to better metal that you've heard. So this album's going to get a 0.5 out of 10 because I liked one song out of 11, and I don't think it's worthwhile for a purchase. And the social score I will give a 4 out of 10 because it did have 3 singles, but Addicted is the best moment. And so social score means how well it plays around your friends if you introduce it to them and they haven't heard it before. The Future, it's been a little while since they've dropped an album, but I think they have at least 3 other projects that they've done since 2008. And can this record be topped? I think the answer is obviously. So I wanted to review this just because it seemed like when I first thought of this, I thought this was going to be something that, I'd get the singles and maybe 2 or 3 other songs out of 12, and that would have been it. But we did not have that happen. So subscribe for more fun.